Hey guys, Dale here, back with some more Rimworld, a brand new series. This is episode 0, so this is just going to be a little bit more of an in-depth explainer on kind of like what mods we're using, how the world was generated, our ideal legend, and xenotype of our pawns. So just like last time, let's take a look at Graphics Setter. So this will kind of like give us a view of what mods are adding lots of textures to the game. So like content, you can see Medieval Overhaul is kind of winning here. The Wild Fields is an apparel and weapons mod, has some kind of like Cossacks gear. Medieval Tailor, just like some stuff for upscaling graphics. LTS Furniture, Psycasts Expanded is back. Outland Core is another kind of medieval themed mod. Some factions, terrain, alpha memes. Cool. Let me bring my browser down and we'll actually just like take a look at some like the key mods. So the theme of this next playthrough is going to be Viking werewolves. So we're going with the Rim of Madness werewolf mods. So we'll have colonists that are going to be turning into werewolves. We've actually replaced the textures of these werewolves with the textures from Morrowind Blood Moon, and we actually have this mod installed as well. So this will be the storyteller that we're going to be using. Will be her sign. I was seeing if there was like a picture of him down there. And there'll be events related to a blood moon where rabid werewolves will be attacking us. But I grabbed some of these textures to use for the werewolf textures for our colonists as well. Vikings, so Viking werewolves, like pretty self-explanatory. Also going to be using this Fenrir texture as one of our werewolf texture models. There are like 4 or 5 different types of werewolves that we can actually transform into. And we'll do our best to kind of like use Viking gear and make a Viking-style town. Medieval Overhaul, obviously a huge one. I don't know if you guys have like taken a look at this mod page or used it before. It changes production in the game pretty dramatically. It changes resources in the game pretty dramatically. It also adds a ton of content. Outland. So this is a series of mods. So there's Outland, there's a terrain mod, there's furniture, and there's some factions. But you can see here there's different building styles, different furniture, different mechanics, some mechanics that are like TBD. Some overlap with Medieval Overhaul, so we'll have like 2 different types of kind of like medieval components that we might have to manage, so we'll see how tricky that gets to be. Vanilla Psycasts Expanded, this will be back. Went with the additional mod that goes on top of this that gives the like RPG fantasy theme as well, since we're doing kind of a medieval werewolves vampires type world. We're not going to have any other xenotypes in the world. I think we might have Neanderthals maybe. Very limited on the other xenotypes. There isn't going to be like a little dog boy faction or impids or anything like that. LTS Furnishing, so just like some neat decorative doorways and other things in this mod, so we'll see if we end up using any of that. Hunting meme will be a big part of our ideology, so I figured like Vikings and werewolves, they would be all about being proud trophy hunters, and that'll be kind of like a theme throughout this playthrough. And then Sailpunk airships, which I've only used one time before. I don't even know if it was like in 1.4. It might have been 1.3. So we'll see how this works out. We have Giddy Up as well, so caravanning should be like pretty easy. The world is also going to be pretty small. There aren't any like sailing ships that we can like build for our Vikings, so I figured, okay, like let's go with the Sailpunk ships, because it would feel weird to have like a Viking settlement without any kind of ship at all. I think I can just go ahead and close all that. Let's hop into, we're just gonna generate a new colony really quickly. So this is the playthrough that I started with as the base. So Restless Raid, I think this is from the Vikings, yeah, because you start your faction as a new clan. You start with 7 people, enough weapons for each of them, a couple shields, very little medicine, some wolfhounds. I swapped that out and changed it to actual dire wolves. And you also start on a map with an enemy present. So you like start off kind of like raiding a settlement. So whatever tile you like land on. Went down here to Hercene. So he creates events like pirate raids, resource drops, or animal attacks. Their choice will affect the story of your colony. Hercene will isolate you from all help. No one will come to your aid in times of need. Constant danger will slowly wear down your small group as they struggle to complete the constant hunting quests given to them by the Lord of the Hunt. The looming blood moon is a constant threat, for the hounds will be released. So whenever a blood moon event happens, that's when we'll get those rabid werewolves. So I did custom. I set it to blood and dust. I disabled extreme weather because I don't want toxic fallout. Like, that's just weird in a medieval playthrough. And volcanic winter, like, who cares? Flash storms, who really cares? I set child aging rate to max and adult aging rate to 500%. So we will be, our regular adult colonists will be aging like 5 years a year. Wealth independent mode, 20 years. And then I always like to increase my odds of like downing enemies and decrease of my odds of like an instant kill on my colonists. So I switch those down to like 50%. And that's just like how I typically play. Wolf Clan, Civil Outlander Rough. I got rid of the Impids, I got rid of the Yitikins and the Wasters, and then I just added the normal, like, baseliner versions of those colonies. Did turn off mechanoids, and then we have insects and hornets. The seed I used was Nesvik. Like two separate words. I think Ness refers to kind of like a headland, so kind of like a peninsula or some landmass that's jutting out from the main landmass. And Vic is intended for like village, I think would be the translation. So this is like headland village. I made it a really tiny planet, super crowded, a little more rainfall, a little cooler, and no pollution. And my cat is behind my monitors right now, so I'm not sure if you hear that, but I'm gonna have to get him in a second. So this is what our world ended up looking like. I feel like this one's short on factions. We ended up landing here. I forced it to be a peninsula. Interesting. Where is the peninsula? Maybe I didn't make it that small. Something like that, but whatever. We'll just select a random site. We'll take a look at the in-game map later. But I wanted to go through this so we could load our ideologian and take a look at that. The Wild Hunt. I'll load anyway. Let's go back. Let's create custom and then load from here. And then we should be able to take a look at it. So memes, we have astrology. We have our mood is dictated by the stars. Felt appropriate for werewolves. Elders are venerated. Felt appropriate for like a wolf pack and Vikings. Blood Court is making a return because I feel like the strongest wolf should lead. And then hunting is like pretty central. So trophy hunting, we get skill hunts, or we get mood bonuses based on the size of the hunt. So we'll get negatives for hunting rabbits, and we'll get positives up to a plus 15 for hunting larger game. Don't care about insects. Hunting central, hunting type is trophy. So hunting central increases butchery efficiency, speed, animal learning factor, hunting stealth. Executions are acceptable. Cannibalism we put as acceptable. I don't usually play cannibal colonists, but I figured, I don't know, like a werewolf eating a person, like, okay, whatever. Might happen, we'll see. Added a bunch of roles. Really want to have colonists that are like specifically focused on certain types of work, especially after not using our roles at all, like during the last playthrough. Huge overlook, but whatever. So we have a funeral, we have a couple drum parties and a social festival. These either will spawn a raid or will call a venerated animal. Some relics, these are from the possessed weapons mod. Thought I was gonna have to make our own persona weapons, but the possessed weapons gives us some weapons that are persona bound and whatnot. No venerated animals right now. I was thinking about putting Fenrir and wolves and stuff as venerated animals, but I want to use their furs and their leather for our gear because that feels appropriate. So, we will treat the wolves that we tame well, but we will not be opposed to like going on a big game hunt for a Fenrir and wearing him. Preferred xenotypes are Baseliner and Lichen, and we'll take a look at that here on the next screen. So, maybe I have to do this, load custom. Load anyway. Okay, cool. So we have Archite Metabolism, Super Clotting. I made them psychically deaf. So we have Psychcast expanding. We're going to be recruiting people into the colony that aren't werewolves. They're the only ones that'll have the opportunity to be Psychcasters. Psychic Bonding, because I felt like wolves imprinting on their mate made sense. Fast running, robust, high libido, fertile, attractive, werewolf. So this is the gene that will actually make them change the first time a full moon happens when they're of age. Robust digestion. I figured lichens eating raw meat wouldn't be a big thing. And I made them nearsighted. Dogs, wolves, they're actually like pretty nearsighted. So they're not going to be great at archery, but they can see well in the dark. In addition to the wolves, you can see that we disabled a lot of the factions that have other xenotypes. We do have a faction, I think that's to Dirt Mole, and then maybe some of the castle factions will have like some hussars or whatever, but will not be like predominantly those things. And then we do have the Sanguiphage expanded mod from the Vanilla Expanded series, and so there is a faction, House Sanguine, that I forced to be predominantly sanguiphages of the 4 different types. So like base game and the 3 modded ones. I figured they would be a good kind of just like regular enemy to have. Additionally, I set it to force all the ancients to be sanguiphages of various types as well. So our werewolves will have some run-ins with vampires. It won't just be like Hircine, who's the main antagonist of our story, but we're gonna have some beef with some vampire boys. Anyhow, that's kind of like the primer. We'll get started on all this tomorrow. Actually, one thing I forgot. Let's take a look at the village design. So let's load the game. Let's load the start. So I did plan out a pretty excessively large base. We are on a 300 by 300 or whatever that absurd size is. Maybe 350 by 350. Yeah. And it is a peninsula. If we take a look at the world, where are you, world? That's where we landed. We can see our little vampire faction down here. Kind of try to distribute them along this roadway because that made sense to me. We have the combat music because, like I said, with the scenario, we start out just kind of like ready to raid this village, and we'll kind of take this as our temporary base. But here's our base plan. So like as always, the black denotes kind of like either walls or embrasures. So we have like a gate here, a gate here, and a gate here, and these rooms next to the gate will be kind of like embrasures, place for us to stand. Various like buildings throughout. So I have like a little cookhouse up here, I have like a little tavern up here. We'll have our temple or whatever down here. We'll have some barracks, some like guest accommodations, recreation. Up here you can see that there's another kind of like walled off area. This will be our like fortress, and this is gonna be a graveyard, so just kind of like where we bury our honored dead. A little moat. I think for these outer sections here along the bottom side, that'll be where we do maybe some like farming and ranching. This middle area is like pretty empty. We'll stick the anima tree down there. But I think I want it to be kind of like a little like village square. So we'll maybe just like decorate it with props and whatnot. We'll see how that goes. Have some housing, individual housing along the sides. And then we have some more barracks along the top sides here. Potentially like military barracks and hospital. And these might be like servant barracks. But yeah, that's what it's looking like for now. Hope you guys are excited about it. I'm super excited to start playing. So I'll catch you guys with episode 1 tomorrow. Bye.